Welcome. I'm so glad you joined us today. Today we have the privilege and really the fun of hearing from Dominica Lumazar from Sweet D Marketing. Dominica was introduced into my life just about a month ago, and she has been such a joy. She is a powerhouse of information, but filled with grace and joy, and she knows the Lord, and she really wants to help uh, businessmen and women succeed in what they're doing. And I think that is a true legacy. She's all of 30. Is that okay if I say your name?
Yes.
Yes. And beautiful, and lives up in the Bay Area and has a 1-year-old, Emma Rose. Is that correct?
Yeah, Emma
And so
Rose.
I'm going to be asking Dominica some kind of heavy questions. And I look forward to sharing with you her life. It's not just about marketing, but who she is as a person. I think you're going to gain the most from that. So, Dominica, let's just get started.
Sure.
How do we make our lives count? Or let's put it personal. How do you make your life count?
Hmm. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Excited to
Sure.
be here, and I'm
Thank you.
honored to be part of your podcast. And I love, first of all, I love the name of your podcast, and I love thinking about the importance of leading and leaving a legacy life. And
Mm,
when I think about the way that I want to pass down my legacy is really that of health. And I'm not just talking physical health. I'm talking mental health, and really wanting to show my family that I have broken some really unhealthy patterns in my life. Whether
wow.
that was, being all about the money very early in my career. Um, I I am what one might call a workaholic, and so I work very hard to on myself to not fall into that. And
Wow.
so from a mental standpoint, I want to leave a legacy of just overall health, and for my daughter to turn around one day and know that mama worked really hard to raise her in such a way where she, the prayer, right, is to become a healthy and godly woman,
Right.
who
Mm-hmm.
who is able to stay strong in her center, and and knows the difference between, not right and wrong necessarily, but the way. And I consider the way to be, the creator, our creator. So
Mm, beautiful.
yeah.
Practically speaking, how are you going about ensuring that that happens? Because
Hmm.
you brought up a really good point. There's many people listening today who are driven people, and that's
Hmm.
why they're successful. And yet, our own motivations can get in our own way for a good health.
Oh, absolutely. Uh, it was about 5 years ago, and I was standing in church, and um, I've been in business for over a decade now. So I for the first half of my marketing career, and marketing really found me. The story is long, but the short version is I was going to school to study music. I have a music degree, of all things. It's so random, and
Wow.
I love music. But it wasn't serving me, and it wasn't serving the Lord in any way, which is something I wanted to learn. And okay,
Mm.
what am I going to do with this now? And I was in a car accident, a really intense car accident. I fractured my neck, and it wasn't my fault, and it was just timing in place, and lost a chunk of my short-term memory, which was unfortunate. But it led me back. The car accident, I was going to school at the time in Santa Rosa, and the car accident led me back to my hometown of Santa Cruz, where I reconnected with my high school sweetheart, who's now my husband.
Yay.
I know. God works in mysterious ways,
Yes,
right?
he does. Even through a broken neck. Yikes.
Yeah. I to this day I struggle greatly with some chronic pain,
Oh.
and but I was standing in church one day, and I was praying and just asking God to show me what's next.
Mm.
What can I do with this career that's just not fulfilling right now? Like, I'm
Mm.
not, for whatever reason, it's not fulfilling. I'm getting paid great money, but it just doesn't feel right. And I knew in my heart I didn't have my priorities in the right place,
What
because
what made you know that? Because that's a really good knowing.
I just didn't feel full. Like, my heart,
Mm.
there was something that was just nagging at my heart. And that's when I think about business ownership, or entrepreneurship intuition, similar to that of like a parent's or a mom's intuition, right? Where it's
Mhm.
like, you gotta listen to it. There's just something not quite right.
Okay.
And I just felt empty. So I was asking God, I just, please show me what I need to do next with my career, or how this can be more fulfilling to glorify you, Lord. Like what's the deal here? What am I doing wrong? And at that moment, as I'm standing there praying, the collection tray came around, and in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and whatever I have in my pocket, all of it, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the tray. That'll be the tithe for the week. Well, I had forgotten that the night before, one of my clients paid me a retainer, and I was wearing the
Oh,
same jacket. So
oh boy.
I reached into my pocket and went $500 into the tray.
Whoa. Be careful what will you vow, right?
But it was such a beautiful moment where I thought, okay, Lord, all right, I get it. I'm on board. All right. And so
That's hilarious.
I realized, let me be an instrument here. Like whatever that looks like, that's totally fine. And later that week, I received a very large contract with another client. And I realized in that moment that the lesson was, the more I give away, the more it's going to come back.
Wow.
And if I'm doing it like freely, in a way where I don't have expectations of, will I ever see that money again, or my time, or whatever it is, I'm a firm believer in just giving it all away.
Yeah.
Obviously it's important to get paid, right? We have to live. That's important, and to be acknowledged in that way. But, I'm constantly wanting to give away free information, which is why also for your listeners, I want to give them my book.
Oh, great. Thanks for bringing that up.
I wrote a book. It's called Empowered, the Business Owner's Guide to Leadership and Success. It became a #1 international bestseller, which is cool, in 12 countries this year. And so thanks. I just want to give it away. I just want to give all that information away. So I'll put a link for your
That
listeners.
is so wonderful. And thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
What made you want to write the book, or what was the process? Because a lot of my listeners are creatives.
It's a great question. I I basically failed in school so miserably. Learning disability from very early on. I mean,
Wow.
talk about all odds against me, right? Growing up, I just had a really hard time with math, with writing. I didn't read until I was like 4th grade.
Wow.
But the only thing I knew growing up is I wanted to be my own boss. And all of the counselors and teachers, the teachers that I had, just said, okay, honey, yeah, whatever, and good luck with that. And so it, really my upbringing and my lack of awesome education early on was the fuel and motivation that I needed to just say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something for myself, and I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to work twice as hard, and I'm going to show you all, right? And I never thought I'd ever be an author. It's kind of funny. I have the book here. I'll show you, right?
Oh, yeah, show us.
This is an award I won for it, for being an international bestselling author from the publishing company, which is
Beautiful.
Cool. But this is my book here. And what's interesting is I look at this and I think, well, cool, but I just want to give the knowledge away. So yeah. I wrote the book for entrepreneurs and business owners who ever felt like just giving up. They didn't know what to do, or they don't know what to do to get to the next step inside of their business. And so it's kind of like A to Z. Here's the basics of everything you need to know, even if you've already been in business for a long time.
Okay.
I work with people, ranging from early stage startups to people who've been in business, brick and mortar, 30 years. So there's a lot of info in the book for just encouragement along the way, and making sure that priorities are in the right spot.
Terrific. And something about writing a book, as I know, since I've written some, is that if I go back and read what I've said, I think, oh, I need to do that again.
Yeah.
I need to kind of remind myself that
take your own advice.
Take my own advice.
Yeah.
And so let's wrap it up, or come back down to this whole theme of living a legacy life.
Yeah.
How give us like 2 tips or 2 call to actions that you call upon on yourself to make sure, not that we can make sure how someone else is going to interpret our lives, but how we can show them what really counts. And I'm not speaking only as far as your own children, because there may be
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
but in life in general, people that you surround yourself with, what can they pick up, or what can you intentionally do today and tomorrow or this week
Hmm.
to make your life count and pass on that knowledge to someone else? We have already heard about the book, so that's huge.
I believe that it's James 4:14 that talks about how our lives are but a vapor.
Mhm.
And I love that so much, because it's true. All we have is right now in this moment, and we have to make it count.
That's right.
And I wake up every morning with just so much joy in my heart that I get to have another day, right?
Woohoo!
That we're here. And I'm honored every opportunity that I get to meet someone new, or even just sit, doing this with you. I mean, how cool is this? Like, we
It's
live in
fun.
we live in a time where we get to do something like this, right? And reach out to other women and connect in community. And I'm so, as far to answer your question, as far as what can we do, and the advice perhaps for the listeners is just always remember that regardless of how you're feeling, if it's you're feeling down and out, you don't really know what to do next, maybe you haven't been going to church regularly and you want to get back in the swing of things, that we're not really in control of all of it. It's God's great plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he will, I promise, make sure that everything comes back to glorify him in his way.
Amen. Amen.
I believe that God has a good sense of humor. So if that's $500 going right into
Yeah.
into the tray, or
Yeah.
whatever it is, so yeah, make it count, just like your podcast, right? I mean, every single thing that I do, and the legacy that I'm building, that I want to leave behind for my family, is hopefully one that will count, and that they'll see it's healthy and it's of God. And when our Creator is in the center of all things, there's nothing that can't be done.
Fabulous. Thank you. It's such a great wrap up. You answered one of the questions without me asking it. And I'm
Oh.
going to close with this, which is, excuse me, what obstacles you've overcome. Well,
Mm.
you overcame a ton. You didn't only overcome your own perceived liabilities as far as reading and things like that, but you
Mm.
overcame other people's pigeonholing of who you are
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
saying, "Oh well, I'll show you,"
And a lot of
but
prayer.
and a lot of prayer,
Prayer.
and then an accident, and then actually you were honest with yourself, saying, "I'm not happy doing it
Mhm.
the way I'm doing it, so I'm going to change gears." And it started with surrender. So I
Exactly.
think what we can leave with our listeners is that God will use all sorts of things. And we just need to be available and to wake up every morning and say, I have so much joy because I have to live another day for you, dear Lord. So thank you, Dominica.
Yeah.
What an inspiring story. I wish we had 2 hours.
Oh,
And
thanks.
I look forward to knowing you better. And everybody here, please sign up for her book because it's free
It's free.
and it's a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having
Okay.
me.
All right. Dominica Lumazar from Sweet D Marketing, living a life that counts, and it's one full of legacy. So make it count for Jesus. Thanks so much.